Most Wanted. It's a namesake that sticks out in the racing genre, a game so popular to the point of being ingrained in pop culture as a whole. Car guy or not, the M3 GTR is a cultural icon in everybody's mind. But why? Why is Most Wanted still so popular? Why does everyone love it? 21 years later, I wanted to take a look back at this game and try to find out why people call it the best Need for Speed. Does this game still hold up in 2026, or is everyone just blinded by nostalgia? I normally say that gameplay is the most important aspect of every video game, and it still plays a big role, but in the case of Most Wanted, quite possibly the most distinct part of the game is its presentation. Sure, the game's old now, and the 2005 textures will probably look a little blurry on modern systems, but what I really wanted to talk about was something that'll never be outdated: its style. Take a look at any greater discussion surrounding this game, and the first thing you'll hear about it is that mid-2000s, urine filter. And that extends to beyond just a mere color palette change. Most Wanted is grungy, gritty, rage, and it isn't afraid to tell you that. Most Wanted is angry, really angry. The soundtrack blasts fast-paced heavy metal music into your ear as you hear the scream of your car's engine while blasting down the highway at 240 miles per hour. And that energy is reflected in this game's main focus: the cops. Unlike what you may be used to in newer games, Most Wanted isn't about driving elegantly and avoiding damage, since your car doesn't have a health meter. You literally smash through roadblocks, drive through gas stations, construction sites, and ram into car carriers, not to just evade the cops, but to destroy them. Your success is literally measured in terms of how much bounty you earned, how high of a price the cops have put on your head. The name Most Wanted is a direct nod to the FBI's Most Wanted list, the one you're trying to climb to the top of using your car as a weapon. Your goal is simple: get your E46 M3 GTR back and crush anyone who dares to get in your way. And the looks are part of the reason why this game is still remembered so fondly all these years later. It's got a kind of charisma that you don't often see in a game about cars. I mean, tell me the last time you played a racing game that gives off the same energy as Doom, being an unstoppable force, destroying everything in your way, using hatred as your weapon of choice. Alright, so Most Wanted looks great. That's the most important, but that would still mean nothing if it didn't feel good to play. Most Wanted's driving is great, but in its own way, as it follows a bit of a different handling model from what you may be used to coming from any modern Need for Speed game. Most Wanted doesn't use brake to drift. It's a game about braking and cornering, and that does entail a significant amount of skill, with taking the right racing line being the fastest way to drive. Cornering involves not just a matter of pressing X, but knowing exactly when and where to do it. Hitting walls punishes you by slowing you down significantly, so you're incentivized to avoid hitting anything. No crash cams. If you mess up, you have to perform the reverse maneuver of shame. And yet, Most Wanted is still an arcade racer, and manages to do this in a way that still feels incredibly accessible to any kind of player. You don't have to be the best driver in the world to be able to feel like squeeze bends in Most Wanted. Handling feels responsible, and understeering is rare, and head-on collisions with traffic are rarely enough to knock you out of the race entirely. And on top of that, Most Wanted's cars still manage to handle differently from each other. Some cars feel far heavier, and as a result lose a lot more speed when you take a corner too hard, while other cars feel much lighter, making cornering easy, but ultimately worsen the impact of hitting an obstacle. And this all makes the racing in Most Wanted a lot of fun. The AI isn't perfect. It crashes into traffic and slows down when hitting destructible objects, but the rubber banding is, for the most part, enough to keep you invested. A single crash or bad corner will almost never be enough to cost you the entire race, but driving perfectly won't make it a cakewalk either. It's not perfect by any means. Going through pursuit breakers in the middle of races can sometimes be a literal cheat code, and the circuit races usually feel a little dragged out, but overall, Most Wanted does its driving really well, and it's an incredibly rewarding feeling when you smoothly avoid a battalion of cops in your way, but not as smooth as a segue to the sponsor of this video. If you're like me and have a busy life, you might not always want to sit at the same desk you sit at to play video games. I work, study, and edit videos here, so sometimes I kind of want to change the scenery, and that's where STARDESK comes in. STARDESK is a game streaming app that, unlike other premium streaming services, lets you stream games and apps from your own device, meaning that you don't have to pay the cost to rent out a server. Thanks to STARDESK's optimization, games run really well and are very responsive. And the mobile app also allows you to play games and use your computer from the comfort of your own cell phone. So if you want to play games even out in the middle of nowhere, like
my friend's neighborhood,
you can do that. STARDESK is easy and fast to set up and allows you to transfer files between your devices, which is great if you want to transfer mods, save games, or other kinds of files across multiple computers. Click the link in the description and give it a try for yourself today.
Thank you to STARDESK for sponsoring this video, and now, back to your regularly scheduled Dr. Powerside program.
That's the corniest thing I've ever.
The pursuits in Most Wanted 2005 are, of course, the highlight of the game. Racing is tertiary. What we're really here for are the cop chases, and Most Wanted does them exceptionally well. The chases are intense. At the first and second heat level, you'll have to try hard to keep the cops on your tail, even in the slowest cars in the game. Bring it up to 3 and 4 though, and they swap out their cruisers for Pontiac G8s. But level 5 is where the true insanity happens. From boxing you in at any given opportunity, to throwing rhinos at you without warning, to putting up roadblocks on the road, the cops try extremely hard to slow you down. They chase you hard and fast. They're not easy to outrun, and they constantly spawn ahead of you. The AI isn't that smart. The cops often crash into each other, slam into pursuit breakers, and generally aren't that good at driving. But despite everything, they still try as hard as they can to put a stop to you. They hit each other's roadblocks and send each other flying with absolutely zero hesitation to clear the way for the other cop cars to chase you. They have strength in numbers. At a single moment, you could be actively pursued by as many as 20 cop cars, and one single hard turn is rarely enough to get them off your tail. As previously mentioned, you don't have a health bar in this game. Your ability to evade cops is determined solely by your ability to drive well and not crash into anything, while simultaneously avoiding all the cops in your way. If you hit anything, a traffic car, a roadblock, or even a wall, you slow down and give the cops an opportunity to box you in and bust you. And that's why there's a level of strategy necessary for these chases. The cop chatter that plays in the background isn't just background noise. It's tailored to the events happening in-game. When they first spot you, they mention the color and brand of the car you're driving, and as you continue to be chased by them, they continually mention their strategy. Roadblocks aren't sudden, as they often call them out beforehand, sometimes even mentioning a possible exit strategy. Other times, they discuss the maneuvers that they're about to take on you, or when you leave their sights, where they're looking for you. When the cops say roadblock at the left, you go to the right. When they say we're looking for the suspect at the last known location, that makes for an awfully great time to take an exit and head to a hiding spot. But here's the thing that separates Most Wanted from Heat. Chases aren't a game of hiding from the cops. In Rockport, pursuits are an open combat zone. It's not a one-way power dynamic, as you have to put up a fight as well. Most Wanted is an angry game, and it gives you plenty of opportunities to let your fury out onto the cops. Pursuit breakers are weak parts of buildings that you can hit with your car to collapse them and crush all the cops behind you. Other times you can strike or push a cop into a truck carrying heavy goods to stop them. And when there's only a few cops chasing you, you can always use a speed breaker to ram them off the road. And this is all part of the game. The bounty the cops have put on you is a key element of the progression in this game. You get into chases to destroy the cops. During some parts of Heat Level 5 chases, you can hear a furious cross in the background telling the cops to drop what they're doing and get after you. And the game gets intense. Sometimes you could be a millisecond away from getting boxed in, only to narrowly escape, barely dodging a roadblock, or managing to throw a cop car into a pursuit breaker, all feel incredibly rewarding. While I wouldn't consider the cop chases in Most Wanted to be the hardest in the franchise, as I would personally still hand that title to Rivals, Most Wanted does handle this mechanic incredibly well, and it's understandable why it has now reached a cult-like following. And I haven't even gone into detail about the pursuit music yet, or how it dynamically adjusts to the events happening in the chase. It's some dang great pursuit music. Now, are the pursuits in Most Wanted perfect? No. Here's the thing, if you run over a spike strip at all, you're cooked. That single mistake could spell your doom. It's a characteristic common for older games. One mistake and you're out. And that'd be great if it wasn't for the cinematic camera and pursuit breakers taking control over my car, only to make it run over a spike strip and bust me on numerous occasions. The cops, like I mentioned, just aren't that great at driving, and sometimes the game simply spawns more of them in your way to make up for the ones that crashed. The game works well, but it does sometimes have its problems. So we just talked about the police chases in this game, but what about the campaign? Everyone knows Most Wanted's story by now. At this point, it was probably taught to you during driver's ed, but if you don't know, or just want a refresher, you start off the game with your E46 M3 GTR, and eventually take on a race with Razor, who sabotages your car, gets you busted, and takes it from you. The game begins from there, as you work work your way up to racing Razor again as the #1 racer on the blacklist, a level he reached using the car he stole from me. The story in Most Wanted is bad.
I want every single unit after the guy.
Everyone?
Everyone overreacts, and every line coming from their mouths is the most cheesy thing you've ever heard. The one thing it does, though, is stay out of your way. Cutscenes after the first 20 or so minutes are out of the way, and only exist through optional voicemails, which do play a role in world building. Characters and writing were never a strong point in this franchise, and the game knows that more unnecessary cutscenes and story wouldn't make it significantly better. Though it would have been nice to see Razor and Cross again at any point outside of the prologue and the ending, it doesn't negatively impact the game to a big extent. The campaign is structured as follows. To race each member of the blacklist, you need to complete a certain number of races, reach certain milestone targets, and increase your bounty up to a certain level. And for the most part, the campaign is fun to play. The gameplay is fun, and it takes about an hour or so of playtime to get the ability to take on the next blacklist member. Progression is also done incredibly well. You start off in either a first-gen IS-300, Ford Punto, or Chevy Cobalt, and slowly work your way up to a Carrera GT or SLR over the course of 18 or so hours of gameplay. Car purchases are locked behind blacklist members, so you always look forward to that one blacklist member to be able to buy that next car you want. Progression is, for the most part, evenly distributed. You're never exhausted from driving the same car for 50 races in a row while barely touching the others in your garage. So that's the progression, but Most Wanted's campaign also has many different types of races. So let's do another Dr. Powerslide mini review of each of them. Toll booth races are races where you drive alone to designated checkpoints on a sprint type route. There's a time limit, which is extended every time you drive past a checkpoint. Finish the races to get the gold and mark the event as completed. The main problem being that there isn't really much of a challenge. Unless you're consistently crashing into traffic or barriers, you'll almost always have at least 30 seconds to a minute on the clock before finishing a race. Unlike other black box games, you're never fighting to finish the event with barely a few seconds to spare. It's fine, but ultimately just that. Speed trap events are far more interesting. In these kinds of races, you have to fight with your opponents, not necessarily to be the first to cross the line, but to be the one crossing it while going the fastest. The difficulty on these is often far greater than toll booth races, with you needing to prioritize and think differently about when you want to use the boost if you want to win. Circuit and sprint races are exactly what you think they are. The races are fun, with a single mistake at the end possibly leading to you losing the race. It's good fun. Knockout races are the same as circuit races, but the last person to cross the line is eliminated. Drag races are probably the worst of Most Wanted's content. The concept is great. In these, your car has a manual transmission and you're in charge of launching it, as well as shifting and using nitrous to win the race, all while avoiding traffic at the same time. It sounds fun, but it's the execution that ends up making these events ultimately feel half-baked. Instead of using the regular car steering, you now use a lane shifting system, which is certainly an interesting choice. Given the curvy nature of the roads as part of these races, it's hard to tell which one would be the best one to stay on. It becomes a game of memorization more than anything else. Instead of finding out what lanes are safe on the fly, you instead have to try and fail again and again to finally memorize the pattern of lanes that you need to go through. On top of that, the car sometimes just doesn't feel like turning. You could be holding down the A key for a good 3 seconds, and the car just won't take the left lane if you're on a particular type of curve. It's not a great system, and is one that usually induces a feeling of frustration far more often than one of fun like the rest of the events. And I think this is one thing that you could say even Payback does better. Out of all the race types in this game, these were the ones I actively dreaded playing through every time they came up. So is Most Wanted 2005 good? Does it deserve its fame? Yeah, but also with a caveat. It's become as beloved as it is today for a reason. The cop chases are fun, the blacklist racers are iconic, and the races are incredibly enjoyable. The style is a hallmark of this game. You don't have to be a car guy to get an Underground or Most Wanted reference. The game was so popular that it became part of our greater culture, despite its genre today being quite niche. That said, however, the love the community has for this game has sometimes led to a hindrance in the artistic design and creativity behind the titles that came after it. After Most Wanted came out, people wanted only more Most Wanted, despite Need for Speed being a franchise that often experiments with new ideas in each entry. The community despised every game that came out that wasn't a copy-paste of Most Wanted 2005. Hot Pursuit was lambasted for being about supercars and not Honda Civics. The Run was hated for being a short game. Rivals was disliked because it just wasn't most wanted. Games were often subject to blind hate from the community for no reason other than the fact that it wasn't a most wanted remake. And that's what led to the downfall of the franchise. After a certain point, EA listened to the community and started giving us bland, generic racing games that don't try anything new or make sacrifices in the name of a particular style. That game was Need for Speed 2015. No more supercar-focused games because that upsets the tuner crowd. No track select because some people want an open world. And definitely no weird or quirky art styles, as flawed as they may be. Unbound was hated for being different way more than being bad. It was the first game in genuine years to not look like everything else on the market, and for some reason that didn't resonate with people. The art style wasn't perfect by a long shot, but it wasn't bad by any means either. Most Wanted 2012 isn't a bad game. There's something to be said about the joy of discovering a new jack spot and breaking into your car with the race before being able to use nitro on it. And while EA is certainly to blame for naming it Most Wanted, the community simply didn't give it a chance on the basis of it not being Most Wanted 2005. Most Wanted deserves the love it gets, but it isn't good enough for the community to blindly hate every other game in the franchise because it simply wasn't a copy-paste of this one. Every Need for Speed game used to be different, not an iterative copy of one another, and that was this franchise's biggest strength. It's sad, but in a way, the best Need for Speed is what caused the franchise's downfall. Most Wanted is great. You're not wrong for liking it, but you're not exactly original if it's your favorite. If you like Most Wanted, you probably also use the Octane in Rocket League, the Oppressor Mark II in GTA Online, the 911 Carrera RSR in Need for Speed Heat, the Bone Shaker in Forza Horizon 5, you probably use an iPhone and your graphics card is probably an RTX 3060. Stop me at any time. Wait, did I seriously miss the launch of like 3 brand new racing games? Alright, I'm gone. Cue the outro music.